Good afternoon, everybody. So as Denise says, my name's Andrew Bell, and I am the Information Systems Manager at OceanWise. And so my presentation today is on marine and coastal mapping data from OceanWise. If you were here last year, then I did a very similar presentation then as well, so it'll be very much the same as I have done before. So without further ado, we shall kick off and look at what I want to cover, which is going to be who are OceanWise, why marine mapping is important, what marine maps are available through the Digimap service. I've got some case studies and a few marine facts to finish. So OceanWise is a UK based small company with global reach. We're a leading supplier of marine mapping products and services to governments, ports, offshore energy, for GIS and online mapping. A big part of our work is in monitoring systems for real-time and historic data, meteorological and wave data to ports, offshore services. We have numerous stations all around the world, from the Caribbean to New Zealand, that we look after for monitoring environmental data such as waves, tides, weather, etc. And then our final kind of area is on compliance. Data management is very important to us, and we provide data management training to many of our customers. We have an asset management system that customers can use to manage their assets. Generally, customers within the marine environment, port authorities spring to mind as the biggest user of that asset system. And that is both for the marine and maritime sectors. Right. Okay. So covering 71% of the Earth's surface, we believe that the marine and coastal domain should not have to fall behind the terrestrial counterparts when it comes to having a fit-for-purpose digital mapping base. We are the leading provider of marine maps worldwide. OceanWise personnel have been the pioneering force in developing and improving availability of marine data. We are members of all the leading geospatial governing boards, as well as the UN GGIM, United Nations Working Group on Marine Data. Our focus is really about delivering better maps. We work with national hydrographic offices all around the world, adding value to their data to create the best possible solutions for customers. Hydrographic offices generally are producing chart data for navigation, and we're taking that data and transforming it into maps that have a wider purpose than navigation. As marine mapping has developed, the emphasis today is on developing fit-for-purpose maps that can be used and manipulated to increasingly digitized world. And we believe that the creation of intelligent marine mapping is key to deliver maps that are authoritative, flexible, compatible, and easily integrated. So who uses marine mapping? Many industries need to use marine mapping to support their businesses. These groups all fit into customers that we have. So government agencies, marine security communications, offshore energy is a big sector and growing sector, environmental and coastal protection, marine science, discovery, fisheries, agriculture, education, academic institutions, insurance, commercial waste disposal, commercial mineral and marine asset extraction, environmental and coastal monitoring, marine accident investigation, marine transportation, and particularly ports and harbours are really big users of our data and the products that we provide, which are similar to the products that we make available through the Digimap service, which we will come on to. Okay, so the focus really is about the marine maps that we provide with in Digimap, and these fall into two different categories. So we sit under the marine section of the Digimap site, and marine and coastal mapping data, I believe. And I'm going to come on to these categories that I mentioned next. There's two different flavors of the data we provide. There's chart roam and there's marine roam. Chart roam is a basic background map, and which is based on essentially navigational charts. And then there's marine roam. So this is a rich vector data set with layers that can be turned on and off. And I'm going to go into a little bit more details next. Okay, so the first product is chart roam, which is essentially raster charts. These are digital charts and are a basic mapping product. They are digital versions of nautical paper charts used by mariners for navigation. These charts are regularly updated to include new features, for example, installations of a new wind farm, but as they are intended for navigational aids, the detail they contain is limited and is highly swayed towards navigation, ensuring only safety of life at sea. Essentially, that's their purpose. If there is a pipeline on the seabed or a shipwreck that's never going to be seen or hit by a ship, it's not shown on the map. So essentially, they do not show everything. They're just pulling out those features that are relevant to navigation. If they exist and they're irrelevant, they may not be displayed. The chart features are familiar and easy recognizable to mariners. So they're a great use of base map for navigation. I should say our product should not be used for navigation. They're designed for mapping and general use and not for navigation. Even though they're based on the navigational charts. What is people like about them? They're familiar. Well, they're familiar types of products that are used by mariners, as I said, in the same way that you might like to use like an ordnance survey 1 in 25,000 raster map, because that's what maybe people use when they go walking, and they quite like that style that they can use on their base map, but it's not always the best map necessarily to be used to display data because of some of the reasons that I have mentioned. So this brings us on to the next product, which is marine roam. This is the marine themes vector data set. This is a data set rather than a chart. These data sets have been built by OceanWise using data from the hydrographic offices and other sources to create what we refer to as intelligent mapping. So yeah, I mean, predominantly the hydrographic office supports navigational information, again, which is limited to those features that are critical to navigation, but then we bring in other added value, other sources of information that builds these products. So for example, we have a completely separate recs database, which will have all recs on, not just those that are significant to navigation. Yes, so it is it's intelligent mapping product, which you can manipulate. It is a vector, which means that you can zoom in and out with no loss of detail. Unlike raster charts, the user is able to manipulate this map, show only the layers or features that they want. the product is much more than a chart. The best way for me to demonstrate this is by using a terrestrial example. If you were driving from London to Scotland, you might use an RAC radar atlas. It's equivalent to a chart, purely built for navigation purposes in mind. If you were to plan and build a new supermarket, the road atlas would be essentially useless. And instead, you would go for an Ordnance Survey high-resolution topographic map like Master Map. So you could see marine themes vector as essentially the equivalent to the Master Map, but for the marine environment. Okay, so just to look at some case studies where this data is used. We've got the Wales Marine Planning Portal. So the Welsh Government needed to manage its marine space better through the implementation of new marine plans. The plan included a requirement for mapping of strategic resource locations in Welsh waters, including renewable energy sites, agriculture, fish farms, ports and shipping. The data is represented via a marine portal, freely accessible to everyone, giving access to the data in an accessible way via an interactive map. And for this product, it needed to be a high quality data set, and the marine themes vector is used within it. And I should just be able to click on this link. And here it is. So this is the portal for Wales, and at the moment we've got some DEM, but if we go to our marine bathymetry, it actually shows a bit more than bathymetry. We can see it. Okay, somewhere where there's definitely lots of information. So we can zoom into this area and we should see contours, depths, buoyage, etc. So some of the themes that are used. So it's just used as a base here, but a base for displaying other information. Against, of course, a lot of their data layers for some of these purposes that I've been talking about, whether it be energy, coastal defence, cabling, etc. Okay, another example I've got here is Vattenfall. This is an offshore energy supplier, and they've incorporated our raster charts, which essentially is the chart realm. They have it through a web service that they put into their WebGIS. This gives their developers, engineers, and other staff a good overview of many of the key marine features that are relevant for wind farm development. They take the service to cover a large geographical area and use the service to gain a quick view of potential market development growth in addition to their current portfolio. So it's essentially a base, and that they like the feeling, the look and feel of a chart. So you use that data within their product. Okay, so a few marine stats. So maritime productivity, turnover, employment increased over the last 5 years despite COVID. Our oceans have national assets worth about estimated 1,200 billion euros globally. Governments are looking to the seas to bolster the economy, including the UK, of course. Less than 20% of the ocean floor has been mapped, 13% in just the past 4 years. And scientists are trying to map it all by 2030. A particular area that's interest to us, particularly when we're working on the land as well, is known as the white ribbon, which is a term to describe the region spanning the interface between the land and the sea. And surprisingly, there's a real lack of data for this region. It's too shallow for most bathymetric surveys, and too deep for land surveys. So surprisingly, this interface, essentially the intercoastal zone, is an area that remains, I say, unmapped, but it remains a lack of data on. And that would be true with in our products to some extent, although we are working hard to fill that gap. So the intertidal and nearshore region is crucial importance for things like coastal engineers and managers. So there are techniques that are being used, including airborne LiDAR that can penetrate water, say up to 10 meters, which is a very interesting way of that being used to capture that data. I think virtually the whole of Northern Ireland coastline has been captured in that way. And then we also get data from the Channel Coast Observatory, which is very much trying to capture data for this white ribbon area is one of their primary goals. An organisation that initially was just working in the English Channel works around the whole of Great Britain in different phases now. So we simply don't know enough yet about our oceans, particularly the deep areas, but also the coastal areas, as I've mentioned. So it's certainly an area for continued research and development opportunities. So the world is your ocean. We want students to use the best data available. We understand that research and development requires the best possible mapping, latest data. You will see consistency with what is being used in industry and government and regulators between what you get within the Digimap service and what we provide to other industry, to the Marine Maritime Organisation, to all our government sectors, so the Welsh Marine Portal, Marine Scotland, also Natural England, and perhaps other DEFRA departments as well. But so fresh minds ask questions. Please, if you have any questions, that would be superb. Thank you.